Right. We're here again. And I don't know. I guess tonight is a very particular kind of conversation because we started getting into some interesting topics here, and I'm trying to think of how to even start this, kind of where we were at before, but I guess the generalized census would be, you know, what is reality and how do we define what that means? And I think under these contexts and pretenses, I've sort of been in a weird place about it my whole life because, and I was telling even my coworkers, actually, some because I like to talk to everybody about this stuff, that it feels like everything that I learn or I hear about when it's something that seems to be resonating with me feels more of a remembering than learning something new necessarily. I'm not saying that I don't learn things new. I'm just saying that it always feels like it's something that I already know and then I'm just remembering it again. And that's kind of how it's always felt. And I guess I would say that this was something that I felt like when I was younger. And then as I got older, it just continued. And then I started looking into this stuff in like 2012, and I haven't really like stopped looking into it. But then it's kind of just all there, and I didn't. Anyways, I know I'm kind of rambling. Basically, what I'm saying is, there is sort of a deeper thing going on here with reality, and I feel like if we knew what we were, or we knew what I knew, then it would be a lot easier to see things or I don't know. I guess it goes to kind of what we were talking about last night, like on questioning things. So I guess where do you want the conversation to go? You know what I mean? Because that was kind of you wanted to have the talk about this.
Anyways, well, I was just kind of just going off on like my perspective and my personal belief that there is no inherent meaning, and that there's no proof of inherent meaning.
Okay. Because we wanted to have the whole conversation that because we
Like
go back and forth on this.
Because I'm a optimistic nihilist amongst other things, but I definitely base my reality on being optimistic nihilist, which basically means believing that there's no inherent meaning to your life or any like purpose to like anything, and that everything's really is subjective and like all on your own personal tastes and
Yeah.
viewpoints and culture. Uh, but I think we should still strive, kind of for the hell of it, I guess, in a sense, but kind of more of also just, um, just kind of just going through it because you're already here. So you might as well just keep on. Seems like there's a cycle anyway, one way and another, even though we defy a lot of other types of habitats that other humans and other animals have, rather. But yeah, that's basically what I just a viewpoint of like at least my viewpoint of optimistic nihilism and not believing in inherent meaning.
I think where we were touching on when we were having this conversation last night was that I was trying to explain. You asked the question, right? You say, okay, well, if I feel like I know all this already, then where does it come from?
Yeah.
How do you get to that point of of knowing? What tells you?
Yeah, because you're saying that you believe that you have a higher self.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like an absolute entity and being.
So okay,
Conscious being.
so then I can explain what this actually means. But basically, this is all stuff that can be researched anyways. But basically everyone has a higher self, and the higher consciousness is to sort of the God consciousness, but God is also you and everyone and everything in existence.
Yeah,
And hold on. I want to go into it. and then you could say what you believe, but I gotta explain it
Sure.
for people to kind of get the where this other side is, because this is like what they talk about in the spiritual community. And so basically your soul or your consciousness, and you're housed within your body, or tomato tomato, some people say the opposite, but basically you are consciousness that is only a small fraction of you is actually here, and the all of you exists outside of time and outside of reality. And so you're really, I mean, another way to explain this would be like, it's kind of like your soul put on a VR headset, and you're just experiencing the perspective in a watered down version from this kind of thinking. And then I guess to dip your toe into some of like what another way of saying this is we're in the third density, and your soul or your consciousness exists in the fifth density, or
Okay.
and
So
something like that. And so basically, what there's a couple of things that explain all this stuff. Again, like I said, there are ways to research the information I'm talking about, but exist in 3D. This is the third density. That's where the physical plane is. But in that sense, and I have some pictures on this that explain this. But basically, all of reality exists here and now. Here and now is the present. And so, in being that would be the case, then your perception is only what allows you to see past this mortal coil, as you could say, or this physical plane. And so then that goes into the whole idea of light spectrum, and how we don't even see even a fraction of actual light spectrum. And if we could, then what would what realities would that even open up to us? They talk about jumping dimensions and saying things, but you might not even need to do that, because it's all here happening right now. You just have to be able to perceive it. And so, that's how they explain that these non-physical forces are able to affect us, like ghosts, or anomalies, things like spectral anomalies. These kind of things only in this example then would only be able to affect us because they're already here. They're not coming from somewhere else. They're just affecting the field, and we are watching the displacement of the field being affected, and having examples of that take place. And I know that's like a super rundown kind of like faster example of this, just to kind of like, again, like
okay,
dip
so
your
my
toe in it.
first thing is, even if this was true, it's honestly same thing I say to, like, if there even is a God. That does not necessarily mean that there is meaning.
Well, sure. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily argue with you about that either.
As far as God knows, you know, because what put the placement of meaning before God, you know?
So okay,
it's
so
just,
in your question, I think it is an interesting question, but I have such a different answer to that, because I would say if there is no inherent meaning, then that leaves such an open place for you to decide what that is. I would argue to say the opposite end, and I would say that there is inherent meaning because you decide what that is, because you're
no, but
choosing.
that's not. I mean, that's where we have a weird thing, because that's not inherent meaning. Inherent meaning is not what's to you. That's
I
personal.
know. We have the
That's
argument
personal.
about that, because I disagree, because I say that just
That's
because
no.
it can still be inherent, but it would be inherent for you.
No, but I mean, yeah, I guess from your perspective is inherent, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a context of which there is a literal
But
inherent
if not
provable. There's a
you,
provable. Like, there's a provable. Like you
there's never
demonstrate.
gonna be that.
Exactly.
Why would there need to
And
be?
that's why. Well, that's why the conclusion that I make and others make is that because it's not a thing, it's not existing.
No, but I'm saying, okay, the reason why I disagree is because the way you're saying that makes it sound like then there's no regard for anything at all. And I'm saying that
No,
that you
no,
make
no,
the
no.
regard.
Sure, you do. You make them
Because
more,
you create your own
but
reality.
sure, in a sense, but
No, but
that's
you literally do. That's how
yes, I
reality
understand
works.
that. No, but that does not. Yeah, but your reality is not exactly because it's your perspective.
Hold on. I want to explain this then, so that so we can get everybody on the same page.
No, because
No,
yeah,
this will just take a second. So, from my understanding, you what you have inside your head is like a movie projector, and your brain is a quantum computer, and so your brain it already exists outside of time, on a energetic conscious level. Now, maybe there's a physical part to it, but let's just go with the biological factor that there are parts of it that we don't really understand. And let's say that in this regard, that means that your brain is a reality matrix. Your brain, coupled with your spiritual body and all those things, is able to project reality in front of you. And let's say that if this weren't capable, then it would mean that all of reality is an illusion and that none of it exists outside of your
sure, that's
perception.
all fine.
Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say that as a collective, there becomes the collective consensus of reality, but us as individuals is still making our own realities and our own perspectives.
Sure.
Now, on top of this goes into the idea of the infinite, meaning that you're constantly changing realities at seconds beyond seconds. And this was information that came from a channeling from a supposed alien from a different collective in space or whatever. And we can agree, disagree, or say we believe that or not, but I think it was really interesting. And the channel is called Bashard, or the guy's name is Bashard. And then so if you look up Bashard, you could see what I was talking about. But he explains that we shift timelines and realities billions and billions of seconds at a time. Every time you have a different thought, every time you have a thought that you didn't think that you would have had but you had already, is a shift on its own. And so I know this complicated.
That's ridiculous.
I know this complicated. Just hear me out. I'm saying that imagine that you are aligning with the reality that you want in every moment, but then any moment that you decide to change, you also then realign with the reality that is made up for that. And now, no, I'm just telling you the way he explained it.
Sure,
You maybe it's hard to explain it, and that's what I'm saying. If it's easier for you, go watch and hear him say it, because it's fucking crazy, and I get it. But I don't. I kind of understand it, or I do understand it, but I don't know if I can put it into words. And so I'm really just repeating what he's saying, but I don't know if that's gonna help to understand it. But basically, what he said, like the whole idea of timeline shifting and shifting to your greater timeline, for people to understand that on a simpler aspect, you could go, oh well, it only happens once, or it only happens when I decide. But without trying to get into that, it could happen the way that he's saying it, and I have started to believe that that's true, because it started to feel like that. And so you jump timeline after timeline after timeline. And when you become aware of this and you become aware that it's happening, it will happen even faster. But it's not that it's happening faster, it's that you're become aware.
How do you even do that?
You always ask the question in the middle of me trying to explain.
Sorry.
I can answer these questions, but you always ask the question in the middle of me trying to explain. I will try and answer the question now because I forgot what I was saying. It would be just like a shift in consciousness or a shift in perspective, a change. I know, I get it.
It's not shifting realities. It's
No,
just
but
shifting your own neurological thought process.
listen. I understand if you have a different opinion, but I'm just explaining to you what was explained.
I understand that. I'm just saying. Giving my piece.
I get it. I'm just saying, like, I can't explain it if you're like, well, that's not happening. Maybe that's not how it works for you, but at least that's how it was explained, and how I'm trying to divulge and give some of this information out there to explain something that seems to be kind of unexplainable.
Okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, from a more open-minded perspective, I don't think we understand what reality is. And if I were to try and do that, that's what I feel like I'm trying to find and trying to understand. And so I'm open to the idea of new forms of information that would be so outlandish that it would be completely hard for you to even understand the concept from the other end of it. Because it seems like when we talks about these things, you're very rooted in the idea that it's not so fantastical. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying that it is just going to be outlandish when I bring up these things
Sure.
because they're going to be completely off the other end of it. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So, to go back into it, um, let me maybe take a couple steps back, and because I feel like I'm sharing maybe too much information all at once. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, hold
I
hold
haven't
on.
even like.
I know, but I'm trying to get there.
Well, what does this have to do with inherent meaning?
I'm trying to get there. if if you're creating reality with your own mind, and your reality is only ever perceived from your perspective because it is actually created for you, from you, by you, then the inherent meaning would still be there because you're deciding what that inherent meaning is, and that becomes a basis of your reality,
That's
right?
not okay, but it's not what I'm talking
No,
about.
I know
That's
what you're
not.
talking about. You're
You're just
talking about, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's like you missed the whole point of what I'm saying.
well.
I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Okay.
Fine, you're right. There's no inherent meaning, but that doesn't fucking matter. None of that fucking matters. If what I'm trying to say is that the individual matters. If what you're saying is true, then maybe you're fucking right. We're just a dead stick in the water of a fucking blank slate over here because all reality is illusion anyways, and we're the only ones actually making it real. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter. It's arbitrary. It doesn't matter. That's why the question always gets me so confused and even maybe a little frustrated because the question doesn't matter, or the answer it seems like that you already have, because you're not asking the question. You have the answer ready. You're saying that there's no inherent meaning, and that's just
Far as
the
you
answer
know.
for you.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but for a lot of other people, that's not the answer, and they would disagree.
Well,
Even
sure.
if even and it's not about disagreeing either. It's more that they don't feel like that's enough. I don't know. Maybe that's where I come at from it, because for me that's not. It's just saying there's no inherent meaning. Um, feels like, okay. Well, then what's the point?
No, it's
You
just.
know what I mean?
Well, sure, you could be down about it, sure, but that's what. Why it doesn't have to be like
Well,
that,
but
though.
that's what I mean. Is like then you're defining what that is. That's what the answer is for me. At the end of the day, you're giving an answer to that. If there's no inherent meaning, then you're deciding what the inherent meaning is for you
Sure.
and
I
for
mean, that's
others
true.
within your
Yeah.
own reality.
Sure.
Let's say that no one else actually even exists
Yeah.
in this example.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is another wild one. Let's say that everybody is an NPC and you're the only real one. And so the only reason that these experiences and examples are happening is because you have linked up in a frequency based energy vibrational pattern to match the experiences and examples and even people that would match the new way of thinking. And that's another thing that was also explained that blew my mind, is that every experience you have, every person you meet, every place that you go to is all based off of a vibrational pattern frequency that is based off of your own place and mind and where you are at consciously. The people that you meet, the people you don't like, the people you do like, the places that you go, the experiences that you experience are all based off of your own consciousness, your own reality, because you're creating the world, but you don't realize that you're doing it, and you may not even be conscious of it, right? And you wouldn't be. Most people aren't conscious of it, but it's I'm saying that you're creating the story without realizing that you're the narrator. You're the narrator, and you're the person in the book, and you're the people in the book, the side characters. And then you're all, and then it's like the Truman Show. You're also watching it from the outside while also watching it from the inside. You're the player and the observer.
Yeah. What the fuck are you in? What?
I don't know, man. It's fucking. Maybe I'm just going really crazy here for a moment, and I'm just giving it all out there, completely raw,
Because I
without.
don't even know like what even like you mean by that. Because
I don't know. Maybe you got to think
you're
about those
making
things.
up people. You mean like the people we meet aren't like or just
I'm
of
not
our
saying they're not
imagination?
real. Okay, I'll give you. I'll answer that question. I'm not saying they're not real. I'm saying that this reality works off of energy, frequencies, and vibration, and so I'm just
I
telling you
mean,
the way
maybe
that
I
it
don't even
is.
know.
I mean that's like Nikolai Tesla. That's like that's some of these greats on how they explain this stuff. And so what I'm saying is, if if this is kind of what I was trying to tell you last night, if we actually understood what we are, who we are, and where we are, then it would completely change your entire understanding of reality
Okay,
and
what are
yourself.
we? That's so
It's
fantastic.
I'm I what I was trying to tell you this is before as well is it's not so simple to just say it.
Well,
It's
and
not
that's
something.
convenient.
No, but it's not about being convenient. It's not something you can just say with a couple of words. Some of these things are beyond words. I mean, if I could try to even say it, I would say that we're energy, that we're consciousness, and that we are experiencing reality from within our own minds like a dream almost. It's a projection. It means that none of this is real.
Yeah.
But it is at the same time because you make it real, because you believe it's real. It's like a simulation, but it's a simulation of reality. So it's not that we're in a computer, it's that we're in a reality computer. So
Maybe.
what
I
we
don't
so
know.
no so what I'm saying is what we've seen is the digital world. We've been able to I'm saying what we figured out is that we were able to take reality and copy it and make it into a digital form. And we were able to do what we are actually doing right now and doing, but in a digital sense. And now, if you took that away and you put under the same pretenses, we're already doing that right now because you aren't here.
How do I know
Your
that?
body is here.
Okay, but how do I know that there is anything outside that? There's no proof of that.
And I'm telling you, you're never gonna get proof that is physical.
Well, then you might as well. This is
This
why.
is why we're at different places
Yeah,
about it.
and
That's fine.
that's why
But you're
I
never gonna
I
get
don't
proof about
believe
this that's
that.
physical.
I
You don't
don't.
have to believe it.
But that's fine. I'm just. Well, I don't know. I'm just saying that.
No one said you had to believe it.
Well, that's fine. Well, I'm just. I don't know.
I'm saying from my understanding and what I figured out and what other people figured out and what I've come to realization more and more and more is that the soul, and to explain the soul and the consciousness, because your higher self is you are your higher self. You come to earth, or you come into this life. Let's not even just say it's earth, it could be anywhere, but let's say for example this life, specifically this life, the present. Coming here to experience this reality is only the smallest step in the actual all of this all is. And coming here is just, if anything, coming here is like a dream. But it is the realest and most in depth and most vivid and experience driven dream that you could ever have. While, because at the same time, we also go to sleep and we dream over here. But the point of it, I guess at that end is that there isn't really a point. The point is just to kind of enjoy yourself and have a good time. And I guess, and
See,
that's what I mean is
my
where I'm
problem is
coming.
you could do that without having it be so fantastical.
Yeah, for you maybe, but I'm saying something for that what at that point
And
you're
is
just
it weird?
hold on, but hold on. At that
How
point,
come I
no,
have
I'm
the
trying to answer
ability to
this.
do that?
I'm trying to answer this. I'm
Sure.
saying at the end of the day, you're just saying chicken or the egg at that point, because for you it doesn't matter what the actual answer
Um.
is. But I'm saying for me that's not the answer. So in what I'm hearing you say is, if you understood what reality was, that it wouldn't matter, because for you it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be fantastical. I'm just saying, let's say hypothetically that what I'm saying is true.
Mhm.
In your way you're explaining this back to me, you're saying that doesn't fucking matter because I would just enjoy this anyways. and that I don't need all this fantastical stuff to be true or not true to just enjoy it. And I'm saying that then you're just really saying chicken and the egg because it doesn't matter.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to understand how you believe this.
How I believe this?
Yeah. And
Because it's a feeling, it's an innate knowing. It's like when you go to read a book and you feel like you've already read the book but you've never picked it up in your entire life. I don't know how to explain it to you other than that. That's what I'm saying. Like these things are so high on the trying to explain that it's almost incomprehensible. But for whatever reason, I've been given the task, whether I've been given it to myself or somebody else gave me this task of trying to explain it. And I do want to explain it, and I do try, and I would love to explain it. But sometimes there are going to be hiccups on getting to a point of trying to explain it if you're already against the concept in the first place. Do you see what I mean?
I guess.
Like if
I'm open
so let me
I just want to hear it. I'm just asking, yeah, a little bit aggressively, but but I'm just kind of
I get
asking
the wall that
the
I always
hard end questions.
the wall that I always come up against is you're always seeming like you want to know more, but then you feel like I'm trying to convince you. And so then you push back
Yeah.
really hard. You push back so hard that it makes the conversation difficult. Because when I have this conversation with other people, if they're open minded enough, then doesn't matter what I say,
Yeah.
right? None of what I says has any validity because
You know
their
why I say
idea
it?
of
You know really
reality.
why I say it?
I don't know.
Fuck me. You know really why I say it?
Why?
I say it because I just care about you, I guess. And I guess, I don't know, it's just, um, I don't know.
What, you think it's crazy?
Yeah, I guess
And you
so.
think I'm insane?
Sometimes. But, but that's okay. But then there's other things I'm like, yeah, he's probably gone something like that. So it's just, I don't know.
I think that it's more crazy to me that people would rather just eat up whatever they're told. And for your entire life you'd rather not ask the deeper questions or ask enough of the questions. And then when you start to find the truth,
Sometimes I'm just breathing, just like,
when you find the truth, it scares you because I mean that's usually what the issue is. The truth is scary. It is. I'm not saying that I know the truth or that I'm claiming that what I'm saying is inherently true or to a certain extent, right? Whatever. But what I'm saying is that the difficulties between finding the truth is that it can become scary because then you're having to disregard everything that you know. And I guess for me, I'm already past that point because I've already gone over the hump of assuming that everything I know is a lie and that I've had to start over and assume that everything I was told was a lie. And when we were talking about this last night, got kind of a little hung up because for you were taking that a little too literal. I'm not saying you need to drop your entire idea of reality and physics and everything, but I'm saying that you do kind of have to start over. You kind of have to unlearn some things because regardless you want to look at it as growing up or whatever it is, finding things out. And that's kind of why I bring up and I don't like bringing it up, but it frustrates me that I have to bring up somebody with a college PhD or some kind of fucking thing that, some kind of fucking certificate and slap it in somebody's face to go that this has any validity. And to me, that is stupid and arbitrary because nothing makes any of that true. Not to me, it doesn't. We can argue about institutions and colleges and whatever it is, but to me, that's even more fucking idiocracy that we're saying that because of this, I should know how it all works. And
Well, then
but I want to
say
finish what
that.
I'm trying to say. Don't
Yeah.
interrupt me.
Okay.
I'm trying to say that it is crazy to me to think that we actually know anything. because it is so beyond our understanding that it's almost incomprehensible. Whatever how you say it. I'm saying it's sometimes
No, it's good. Just
it's very beyond words what all this is, and it is a lot.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I agree. I agree with that. That part at least. It's a lot.
And I've heard things, and
But what
the
gives
things
them credible? Well, that's my question.
I don't know, man.
What
This
gives
is
them
look. This
credibility?
is when I this is
From your own belief?
I've tried to answer this to you before. You know, you hear something, and you go, oh yeah, oh I like that. And you hear something else, you go, oh well, I like that. It's like nothing's ever good enough for anybody. What I'm saying is proof is in the pudding, right? It's never gonna be enough until you decide it's enough. So maybe somebody over here is going to say, well, the mainstream says this and the colleges say this and this, that. And so, I'm going to decide my reality is this because they told me to. And you know what? They're smarter than I am. And everybody else kind of agrees. And you know what? Well, I'm sorry that I'm the other end of it. And I say, fuck that. And I don't think that I want to go with, I don't want to go with the flow. You want to talk about anarchy and rebellious behavior? This is the most rebellious and anarchic thing that I have done in my life, is be against the grain so far to the point that I see that reality is not what the fuck they're saying it is. And I'm certainly not going to chalk it up and eat it up like the rest of these motherfuckers. Because I'm telling you it's not. Not in any way. And I think that the biggest mind control idea to control the masses is to get you to believe otherwise. Because if we really understood what we are, who we are, and where we are, and what we're capable of, then they couldn't fucking do anything. That is the biggest part of the whole reason I'm even trying to do any of this. Is that you have so much power in just yourself. And that we need God to tell us who we are. We need the government to tell us who we are. We need to go to a therapist to tell us who we are. We need our friends to tell us who we are. None of those things fucking matter. None of them matter. You are the only thing that matters. And coming into that coexistence relationship with yourself is what's the most important. And then when you reach that point, then you start to see the barriers fall. Everything starts to start making sense, and things start, and some things start to not make sense anymore. And it starts to change and shape your idea and your way of looking at things. And the easiest way to say that, and the simplest way to say it, is your perception changes. And so you realize that book you read doesn't sound so accurate anymore. And then you start to run the numbers, and you start to do the calculations yourself, and you start to take other pieces from people who are smarter than you and other books, and you start to look at other information, and you go, you know what? There's some kind of continuity errors here and plot holes, and a lot of this information that's coming out about what they're saying is true. And I'm sorry, I just got to a point where it doesn't make sense what the hell they're saying.
But what makes them credible? Like from the other people.
But the point, this
Like
is what I'm saying.
like
You get so
what is
hung
their
up on what
basis
makes them
of that?
credible. I'm trying to tell you that I don't need that answer. I have that answer, but I can't give you that answer because it's not for me to decide what makes that credible for you. Do you get what I'm saying? I can't give you what's credible
So
for
we
me.
all live our own wacky reality.
Yes, all of us do, yes. And some of us are just deciding to join the same reality as others. That's what I'm saying. What even if I could give you the answer of what I've decided is credible, what gives more validity to that? That's what I'm saying is the questions you're asking is if you heard something that sounded credible, then you would become under different pretenses that would make you believe it more. And then we're back at the same circle over again. I'm not trying to get you to believe my side, and I'm not trying to convince you. I'm telling you that there's just some interesting things, and I'm sharing a different side of the pie. Something that maybe you haven't heard
What is
of.
reality that you would be in that you're experiencing? What do you want to open people's eyes and experience
I want you to open your
as many
eyes
as
to
possible?
reality itself, and then you decide what that is for you. It's not my job, and it's not my place.
And what does this have to do with? Once again,
I think it has to do with everything.
what does that with inherent meaning?
Yeah.
How? No, but that's
How?
not.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a question then, and we're gonna let you talk for a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you decide what's an inherent meaning for you?
Once again, I'll say it's not inherent meaning. It's my personal perspective because.
But that would be inherent for you until you decide otherwise.
But I'm not talking. You know what? This is why it's hard to talk like this sometimes. It's no, and it's not. It's okay. I'm just expressing it. It's because you're trying to. I'm trying. We're saying a word, but we're having different definitions towards it. Because you're trying to say inherent meaning as in your own personal perspective, which inherent is to you because you believe that's inherent. So then, therefore, it is a thing. It is real. I'm saying something beyond that, where it's like it's not that. It's something that's like in a process, like in an
I
approvable
understand the
process.
definition to that, but what I'm saying is I don't know why you're so hung up on an inherent truth. Because then you're talking about something that is inherently true for everyone and everything. And I don't know why you're hung up on that. Because if anything, if it's inherent, then it doesn't fucking matter. You couldn't challenge it if it was inherent. You wouldn't even need to prove it because it's inherent. Like your own definition is crazy already on its own. Like that's what I'm trying to say. And
And
how would we know? And then how would we be able to argue or not? Do you get what I mean? Like it already gets kind of jumbled up already. And I'm saying as humans already, how the fuck do we actually know
no, but
what's an
people
inherent
no, but
truth?
people say that there's reason why I do this and why I'm like vocal about it is because people try to do it. They say, well, they try to put like, especially in Christianity, they try to push a big giant thing about that that God and God's rules and all that is inherent truth and
Okay,
inherent
and
meaning.
well, we can still disagree on that, can't we?
Sure, we can. I mean, we do, but we also do for different reasons too, and also for same reasons. But
I'm just saying. The you seem to get very hung up on the definition of
I think we
something,
also
but
have
I'm
a
not
good.
changing the definition. I'm still using the same definition. Like what, so then what? So you just are you mad at the Christians then? Because they're
Well,
using the same definition. It's an inherent truth, right? That's what you were just saying.
yeah, but like,
But if you believe it or you don't believe it, it hasn't doesn't matter what I have to say. That's what's so interesting to me. You hear it and then it makes you upset because they're using a word and you think that word means that you have to believe it because of the definition of the word. It doesn't matter what anyone has to say. It doesn't make it real. It doesn't make it true, right?
yeah,
Even if they're deciding to use that word. Because then you're just getting hung up on the idea of the word. And then the word itself is what's holding all that power. Because who decided that? Do you get what I mean? That's what I mean when it comes to the idea for me about reality and understanding things. Who decided that? Because and this is what we were talking about the other night. Because you can pick up a book and you can read from a passage and it tells you what the answer is.
exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I'm fucking saying,
And I'm
and
saying
nobody
who
says.
made the book? We're beyond these things. That's what I'm trying to say. Than little words in a book. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the bigger part of all this for a lot of things. Because then anyone can write anything down in that book and decide what it means. And let's say that 100 years pass, the definition is different now. Then that word means something else and it holds a different weight. So words mean nothing. Then we're just back at the same thing that you were saying. There is no inherent meaning because we make the inherent meaning. We decide what that means. I'm not even arguing with you and saying that you're wrong in that. Maybe you are right. Maybe there is no inherent meaning. But to me, it doesn't matter. It's like, again, it's a